Okay, and it seems like the picture looks darker than usual, but here I am coming on even earlier than usual. And the reason why is I have a few announcements I want to get out of the way before I get started. And sometimes that 5 minutes early is just not enough. So I noticed that Linda had brought up the storms and Tammy had emailed me as well. And that's why she's not going to be here today. But she was wanting to let everybody know that and to also to pray for her, and everybody that's in the line of fire, basically, as far as all that goes. And then another prayer request would be for Darlene Schreiber, who's, I believe I have her set as a moderator. Long time follower of me and my channel. She was following me on Facebook before I even started YouTube. Every time I'm just fine until I get started. It doesn't help that I did shoot extra video today. So, and then the two of the videos I shot were on the longer side. Then I had to do another really short piece to add to another video. Then I was talking to my sister for too long. So my vocal cords are already a bit thrashed this morning. So, or afternoon, depending on where you are. Currently, it's still morning. I still got another 20 minutes or so before it's noon. So there's that. So Darlene was asking for prayer because she's got some various health ailments going on. I'm not sure how much she wanted me to share, so I'll just leave it at that. She's doing okay right now. She didn't end up in the hospital or anything like that, but serious enough that it'd be a good idea to keep her in your prayers, especially as she continues to try to look for the best natural remedies to help with certain other ailments. And if she happens to pop in here at some time, I'll let her talk about that. But I think she also just wanted to say hi, just like Tammy. Hi, everybody. I'm okay. I'm still alive, and but also asking for prayers. So we missed them both today for certain, and I've missed seeing Darlene being able to get in here. But I definitely appreciated having an update on, especially when you're used to seeing certain people come in here, and then when they're not here, you can't help, if they're regular, then you can't help but worry. Are they okay? Is everything fine? Or did they just forget and have a brain cramp like I think Deb did last week? The last time. It happens. And then another announcement I wanted to make. In case you guys did not see the comment I pinned under my Monday video about the Vanilla Bean Kings. Well, it's funny because after I shot that video, so Wednesday is my day to shoot my this and that video. So the video for Monday is shot on the Wednesday before, where all the rest of them were shot about 6 weeks ahead of time, ish, give or take. So anyway, after I did that video, I don't know if it was later that day or the next day, I decided, I should reach out to them because I initially looked on their website and didn't see. Sometimes if you go to certain websites, you can scroll down to the bottom and look for an affiliate, place that you can go to and then look for applying. And I didn't see anything like that. So I thought, I'll just reach out to them. I'll go ahead and send them an email, which I did. And they didn't. It was probably like Friday, maybe, when I thought of it, late Thursday or Friday. So they didn't get back to me until after my Monday video had published, and they were really cool. So very excited to work with me. And the nice thing about having an affiliate is not only does it help us when people order through our affiliate links, which helps make up for the difference of not making the money we once used to make on YouTube. Typically affiliates can, the links will give you a 10 to 15% discount. So for the Vanilla Bean Kings, it's 10%. And somebody asked, and I didn't think to say this, somebody asked in a comment, well, which ones did you get? I got the grade A Madagascar. and they're organic. And I was just like, wow. And I think I forgot to mention that. So the fact that they're organic and they're grade A Madagascar vanilla beans, I mean, that is actually a really great price. You can get larger amounts too and probably save even more. But since I already have a lot of vanilla beans, I chose to go with 50, which is still a lot. Um, so I could get a better price on them. And also because I knew I probably wouldn't be able to fit them into my other jar. So it's like, oh, I want them to at least partially fill up my jar. I've considered cutting them in half, so they're lengthwise, right? And cutting them in half this way so I can just put them in a half pint, or not a half pint, a pint jar, and they'll fit in there better than vacuum sealing them. So I might do that. But then again, cutting them in half, well, if they're vacuum sealed, they're not going to dry out. Anyway, so I wanted to let people know about that too. So I did make sure to add that affiliate link under that video in the description and in a pinned comment, and is also down below in the description box. And from every video, well, ever since I changed my upload defaults, it'll be added to my other stuff. But that means for quite a few of the videos that publish for the next 6 weeks, it won't be in there. But if I'm mentioning it, I'll try to make sure it gets in there. So yeah, thanks for people for thinking of everyone and praying for everyone, and Linda too. And I wondered how many other people coming in here might, be concerned about that same issue. So yeah, let's keep everybody in our prayer. So I still got a couple more minutes. Let me see if there was I don't think there was anything else I was going to say. But you know what? Okay, so a lot of you know my very first chickens were Buff Orpingtons. I started off with 7 Buff Orpingtons, and out of those 7, they're 8 years old now. The ones that are remaining, I have 3 left. One has started laying. One looks like she might start laying, and the third, I'm not sure. She's very shaky. I'm not sure if she's going to make it through. I'm just kind of waiting. So, oh, okay, Deb. Yes, we'll pray for Mike too. So, at any rate, okay, so what am I trying to say? I don't know how long I had those chickens before the first one went broody. Now, out of those 7, not all of them went broody ever. And there was a few that never went broody. Gertie, I could depend on her every year going broody every season 2 to 3 times. But at the time I didn't have a rooster, so it was pointless. So I always would break them out of the broodiness. Well, I know, I'm thinking they were probably maybe 2 years old before that started. I could be wrong, but Isabella, who's not even a year old yet, I'm thinking she's gone broody, but she hasn't plucked her feathers out of her front. So if you don't have chickens, a broody hen will pluck her feathers off of her area here, the part that lays onto the eggs. And they do that so there's like skin on egg contact to make, so the eggs are really staying nice and warm. So she hasn't done that. I did check her, but she's acting broody, and she's been staying in the box almost all day. But then yesterday she came out on her own and wandered around a good part of the day. Then by evening she was back in that box again and stayed in there all night and is still in there. I actually threw her out of there this morning just to see what would happen. And she did peck around and whatever. And I went back out there and checked. She was back in the box. I'm like, is it possible she's broody already? Now, Isabella is the product of one of my old Buff Orpingtons and Antonio. So, and she seems to be a pretty good layer, but I'm just kind of curious if anyone else who's had chickens for a while has seen a hen go broody before she's even a year old, because she's not going to be a year old until fall-ish. I mean, so it was not really that long ago that she started laying. So now, before I get started in the topic, let me remind everyone that if I get cut off and I need to start a second stream, I'll let you know in the chat. The second stream is ready to go. I just have to change it to public. So if I let you know in the chat, go into the backup stream or the reboot stream, then go ahead, give me a couple minutes. Make sure you back out of this stream. I'm going to have to end it, but make sure you back out of it. Don't stay in here and keep chatting. Make sure you get that link that I provided, and then go on over there and just wait, because it takes me a couple minutes, because I have to set it to public, and then I got to publish it, and then I got to get going. So at least I get it set up so it saves me maybe about a minute at a time by having the thumbnail and blah 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 in there. So my links and all that. Anyway, so just a heads up. Thankfully, it hasn't happened to us in a few shows, but it's bound to happen today, since it hasn't happened for the past few shows. So anyway, today is a Q&A, and I don't know what number Q&A it is, because I forgot to put that down there. But I did get a question where somebody had, I think they emailed me saying they were looking to see if I had a video on herbs and whatever they can do to help with fingernails. Now, I've always had sort of longish fingernails, and I try to keep them trimmed, because if they get too long, they're going to break, because I'm always doing stuff. And I'd say my fingernails are normal. They're not too breakable, not too soft or weak. They're just normal fingernails. They're not super duper strong, but I can open canning jar lids a lot of the times with them, so they're strong enough to do that. But a lot of times what happens is I'm just always doing stuff and, smashing them on something and breaking it, bending it back. I'm terrible at that. I hate that one when it happens. It hurts so badly, especially when you bend it back, like right here, and you get those little white things, and you got to cut the whole nail back as far as you can so that you don't catch it on something else and make it worse. I hate that. However, that's the reason why I haven't thought to do a video on fingernails. That's one reason. The other reason why is a lot of the nutrients that you can take internally, or herbs or foods that will help strengthen your fingernails, are the same things that will help with your hair growth, or just hair in general, having healthier hair. So, yeah, those of us who garden a lot, we're constantly washing our hands, and because then you got to come in, or you're handling your chickens, got to come in and wash your hands immediately. And then you're going to get your hands in the bread dough or whatever it is you're doing that day. You're constantly washing your hands, and that does take a toll on your fingernails as well. So something I don't always think to do is, you can always rub a little oil in them a couple times a day, maybe in the morning, maybe at night before you go to bed. And I'd highly recommend using the oil. And I don't know if I thought to link to this in the description, but the hair growth oil, I think I might have. Unfortunately, from here, I can't see the description box, even if I scroll. But you could rub that in there, that infused oil, because you're going to have a lot of those same herbs. Or if you've added like rosemary oil, what other things, essential oil and that kind of thing, sage, anything that's good to help with hair. If you've added that into your infused hair growth oil, that's also going to be helpful. Just rub that into the nail, and as far down in there as you can, like all around the skin and stuff. And that should help. That's going to condition the nails, and it's going to be natural. You don't have to apply any crazy stuff. I also recommend stop wearing nail polish if you're wearing nail polish on a regular basis, because that's not going to help. That's just going to make your nails more unhealthy. So I used to get all fancy with long before like all this fancy stuff you see now. I used to get all fancy and actually by hand as a teenager and into college would paint designs by hand, freehand, onto my fingernails, on both, even onto my right hand, which I'm right-handed, so that one was hard. But I can't imagine doing that now. What a complete waste of time, because you got to wait for your nails to dry, and then you don't ever want to do anything because you don't want to ruin your nail job. I just can't even understand wearing fake nails, especially the craziness I see out there. I'm like, that just looks dumb. Like the eyelashes, they're like this long and they're so thick they can barely even see out. That silly, but whatever. But yeah, I mean, when you're a busy person using your hands all the time, it's pointless to do nail jobs like that anyway. But that doesn't mean we can't try to take care of our fingernails either. It's still nice to have them look decent. Mine are always all different sizes because of what I already said. But I think I might have also linked to my video on hair growth, so helping hair to grow naturally, to encourage hair growth. So anything I mention in there is going to be good for your nails as well. But I'm going to focus on a couple of specific things. And one of that is going to be gelatin or like your bone broths. So whether you're taking a gelatin like a supplement, like I highly recommend a grass-fed beef gelatin. I have a lot of that on hand. You can even make your own gummies. I have old videos on making gummies, but it's that gelatin that's really good for fingernails. And I'm sure a lot of you remember growing up hearing this a lot, eat Jello, it's good for your fingernails. Well, I wouldn't necessarily recommend Jello, but you can make your own gelatin and make it healthier just using juice and beef gelatin and make your own. Like I said, you can make it like gummies or you can make it more like Jello. Gelatin is excellent. Bone broth is excellent for helping with nail and hair growth. And the other big thing I recommend, this is stuff you're going to take internally, is silica. So that can come in the form of, like right here, I have some dried horsetail that I collected a couple years ago. Well, it's going on 3 years ago because this is 2022 from down by our piece of property right next to the creek. And I have a video on horsetail, which I did not link to in the description box, but in that case, that would be something you'd want to make a tea out of because horsetail is very good for hair growth and nail growth and for your bones because of the silica content that it has. In fact, it's so high in silica that when you dehydrate it, you got to be really careful about once it's dry, that silica that it contains can get very powdery. So you got to be careful about when you go to put it into your jars and stuff because it can make kind of a cloud and you really don't want to breathe it in. It's totally safe to take internally, but you don't want to breathe it in. The other thing, if horsetail is not available to you, is diatomaceous earth. Whoop. Obviously, I did use some this morning. My lid is coming out of the lid and it's going everywhere. Anyway, a food grade diatomaceous earth. I should have put a link to the one I have. I get it from Amazon, but you can find a good food grade diatomaceous earth just about anywhere, and up to a teaspoon per day. But typically, it's always best to start even smaller than that when you first start taking diatomaceous earth. Maybe a quarter teaspoon, half teaspoon, work up to a teaspoon a day. Some people take more. I don't personally recommend more than that, but I just mix it in with water, sometimes coffee, some cold coffee or leftover herbal tea. And I'll just take a little bit and mix it in there, swish it around really good, and then just drink it down. I do the same thing with eggshells. A lot of times I'm taking both simultaneously. So diatomaceous earth is excellent. It's excellent for helping to detox the body, clean out the heavy metals. It's very good for your gut health and kind of scrubs everything out in your digestive system. And then the silica is excellent for all those things that I mentioned. Now, I do believe I linked to the video. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Deb. On the diatomaceous earth. Now, in that video, at that time, I was talking about how, just like with anything, you got to listen to your body, pay attention to what it's doing. And I had at least one or two different times where I was taking diatomaceous earth on a regular basis, and I noticed a really odd smell to my urine that wasn't right. Now, I stopped taking it and the smell went away. Now, I've been taking it on a fairly regular basis without that same issue. So I wanted to bring this thing up because um, I've had so many people come into that video, even though it's 2, 3 years old. It's actually getting popular again right now. and try to tell me, well, that's because you're detoxing. You should have kept taking it and stuff like that. And I'm like, no, no. While that is a possibility, I had been taking it for a week to 2 weeks before that started. So if it was just from detox, I should have noticed that sooner. And because of the type of smell it was, that told me it was probably just a little too much for my digestive tract because it had a very kind of raw sort of smell. I'll just leave it at that. I'll just say it wasn't right. Now, again, like I said, I haven't noticed that this time around. And I want to come back to the fact that even if these people are correct, don't listen to that kind of advice. If you know something's wrong, because I have never, only a couple different times I've taken diatomaceous earth have I had my urine smell like that. Stop taking it, it quits, it goes away. So you take a break from it a while, come back. Now, I've never noticed my urine ever before and smell like that. So that tells me there's something definitely wrong. And it was a right thing for me to do, to quit for a time, give my body a break, get back into it again. And that goes for anything. If you notice any symptoms of something kind of newish that you've started, you've been doing for a couple weeks, maybe even a month, and now you're noticing some symptoms that just don't seem right, or you notice them right away, uh, it probably means you should stop and don't listen to people's really bad advice when they tell you it's detox. I'm not saying that certain things don't ever mean that your body's trying to detox because of that, and that's why you're noticing some of this stuff. But it very well could be detoxing, but not for the reason you think. Not because it's actually working, but because your body's trying to tell you that you need to stop taking that. So it's just like the whole thing about people ingesting a lot of essential oils. That was the really big thing being pushed by certain multi-level marketing essential oil companies claiming they're the only brand you should ever take internally. No, no, it's not true. And so you had people that were putting it on, they were doing the diffusion and making capsules and taking them daily, like handfuls of them. Then they started having rashes, their hair was falling out, they were starting to have all kinds of health issues, but being told that, well, keep doing it because, that's just your body detoxing. No, it's not. Well, it is. I always say, no, it's not, but then I turn around and say it is. What your body's doing is trying to get rid of all the excess essential oils that you're taking that are doing harm to your body. So, most essential oils, there are some that are okay to consume internally with caution, but not all of them. And certainly not every day and not more than maybe a drop or two at most. So now I have another spray bottle like this that I have a certain metallic substance in that I've added peppermint oil to. Just a little bit, just a couple of drops to this whole 16-ounce bottle. And sometimes, once in a great while, I will spray that on my throat instead of my elderberry tincture. And I'm only getting a very, very, very tiny bit of the peppermint. Peppermint is one of the safer oils, but even if you consume too much of that, it can be really hard on your body. And it could be, you'll know because you'll start having issues with your gut because peppermint and other such mints like rosemary, thyme, and so on are really good at killing off the bacteria in your gut, but too much, oregano is another one, and you're getting rid of all your good gut bacteria, and now you're not, if you start having gut issues, it's probably because you're doing too much of that. So that's why I bring that up again, because if you go watch that diatomaceous earth video, you're going to hear that part, and you might have that same thought. Well, it's because you need to detox. Nope. It's because your body's detoxing. No, it's because it's too much. It's too much for my body, and I need to stop. So, yeah, while I understand the premise, I get irritated when I see people do that because you may be encouraging somebody to keep doing something that could possibly cause them very serious harm. And same with you. Do some nuts have silica? I'm not sure. I'm not really sure. I noticed the comments seem really behind, and maybe it's because people are coming in and starting from the beginning, which is totally fine. Um, I'm sure silica is found in quite a few different foods, but I know that two of the highest one, is horsetail, and well, I shouldn't say the highest, but I know that horsetail and then your diatomaceous earth are going to be high in silica. And that can be, and the great thing about diatomaceous earth is it's really cheap. You can get a good quality food grade diatomaceous earth, like 5-10 pound bag for, I think a 5 pound bag might be like $21. Well, if you're only taking about a teaspoon a day, it's going to last you forever. So I get the bigger bags because I use them for more than just that. Because you can use it in your garden, you can use it for your chickens, externally, to help get rid of parasites and on your animals, your animals. Those are animals too. Your pets, to help with ticks and fleas, but it may or may not work. Some people say, "Oh, it doesn't work at all." Some people say it does. I would be more apt to use it, like rub it into the dog's bed if he's ever had fleas after I've washed it, just as an extra measure. So I talked about that in the flea one. Um, Now let's move on to a couple other tips and questions. So somebody was commenting about how they were helping, I think it was a family member, go through like their cupboards of, their food storage and looking at what things were still good, what things needed to be thrown out, and what things simply needed to be rotated. Well, they pulled out the baking powder that this person had stored for like 2 years or more. And Phoebe, I said, "I don't know. I don't know if some nuts contain silica. Some might. I don't know." I did already answer that. Maybe I wasn't specific that I was answering that question, and I'm sorry if I didn't make that clear. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, so they pulled out the baking powder and found out the baking powder was no good. Well, here's the problem, is that this is true. So baking powder is really only two main ingredients. You've got your baking soda, your sodium bicarbonate, baking soda, and your cream of tartar. Those are the two things that make up baking powder. Now, if you're store buying it, it's going to have some added ingredients, which is oftentimes where you get the aluminum, though a lot of companies have stopped using aluminum. Why was that in baking powder to begin with? Not baking soda. Baking soda has always been, always will be aluminum free. It was an additive to put into the baking powder to prevent clumping. And here's why. Because what was I trying to say? Cream of tartar is an acid, and baking soda is a base. So, you know what happens when you combine baking soda with vinegar, which is an acid, a base and acid? What happens? You get a reaction. Basically, that reaction is still going to happen with the two mixed together, which is why you get a, a good rise using baking powder, because once it's been wet down, you're going to get a reaction. However, when they're combined in storage for a long time, those two, even if they're still both dry, will they basically counteract each other. They make the other one ineffective. So that's why baking powder goes bad in storage. As far as it's not that it spoils, it just becomes useless as baking powder. So you could probably use it as a cleaning agent, but that's it. Because both cream of tartar and baking soda are good for cleaning. So you could use it for scrubbing tubs, toilet sinks, and whatever if you wanted to, or even a stain remover, I'm sure. So I stock cream of tartar and I stock baking soda, and I keep them separate. I only combine them when I'm going to bake with them. So on my counter, I keep a jar of baking soda and a jar of cream of tartar right next to each other. And I think that it's the green jar is the baking soda and the purple one is the cream of tartar. A lot of times I'll just use half and half. depending on what I'm making. But I believe the ratio is for a tablespoon to equal a tablespoon of baking powder is 2 teaspoons of cream of tartar, 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Though a lot of times I just use equal parts and get the same result, especially if I'm making cookies, because a lot of times cookies will have baking powder plus baking soda. I'm like, okay, so I'll just use equal parts. So that's going to save you money. Did I ever explain why the aluminum was added? I don't know if I did. So for those who don't know, the reason aluminum was being added was to prevent that clumping. I think I did say that now that I've said it again, but also to help give it a little longer storage, I would think, because it's preventing the clumping. So it's a drying agent. Aluminum, it's a drying agent. If you want to pre-mix your baking powder, which I don't recommend doing unless you're only doing it in small amounts at a time to have enough to maybe get you through a week, a month, or however long you think. I would say no more than a month. Then you can add some kind of starch to that will help prevent clumping. So I recommend like organic tapioca starch or organic arrowroot powder, kudzu, any kind of starch like that. The starch will help prevent the clumping. So what you do is, I think if I remember correctly, it's when let's say you're making a whole cup of baking powder. I hope I'm saying this right. So you're going to have like 2 parts baking, 1 part baking soda to 2 parts cream of tartar. You're going to add a tablespoon of a starch to that. And then now you've got it pre-mixed, and then just work through it. Oh, you know what, Phoebe? I bet I know what happened. I bet you asked, and you're probably watching the video like you probably started a little late, so you're not caught up to the live. That's probably what happened. That's probably why you didn't hear me answer the question the first time. So at any rate, what would you do for ringing in ears? Boy, usually if you have ringing in ears, you need an adjustment to your neck. Okay, so chiropractor would be good for that. Other than that, off the top of my head, um, I can't think what else typically causes ringing in ears, unless maybe an ear infection. I don't know. Do ear infections cause ringing in ears? I know that most commonly it's going to be caused from something being out in the neck. When I make homemade pancake mix, it ends up tasting like metal. What am I doing wrong? I would not know, Judy. I don't know. Are you talking about like you make the mix and then you put it and store it, in your pantry, and then when you need it and you go to make up pancakes, then it tastes like that? It might have something to do with the pre-mix thing. I don't know if that's what you're doing. I only make pancake. I just mix everything together just before. Actually, not just before. I like to let it sit for about 15 minutes or so, the batter, with the baking powder, my 2 ingredients. Plus, a lot of times I'll throw a little vinegar in there too, and just let it kind of sit and ferment for a little bit. It gets really bubbly. That's what I do with mine. But yeah, other than that, I don't know. Does that lead to hairy knuckles? The hair growth oil on the nail beds? No, it shouldn't. I don't think the hair growth oil is going to give you hair where you never had it before. It's just supposed to help stimulate the areas where you're supposed to grow hair, like on your head. Now, I wouldn't rub it on my armpits or my legs. Anyway, so yeah. Then another tip, actually, it's a tip that people give me because they don't know that I already know this tip, and that I actually have a video out on why I don't do this. You'll hear a lot of people and you'll see a lot of people show you that. Guess what? You have if you have the right kind of blender, you can take the blender blade, the whole, whatever you call it, that sits at the bottom of the blender, the part that you screw on with the blade and your gasket, and you can fit it to a regular mouth jar. This is absolutely true. And then you can take the jar, so you put it on your jar, and then you put the jar in there, and then you can just blend stuff right in your jar. Yes, You can do that. And years ago, I did do that a few times. And then I stopped doing that. I don't recommend it. So, like I said, this is so prevalent, people talking about this. And some people probably never, ever had a problem with it. And so they're going to keep telling people, you can just do this. Or maybe they've only done it once, or maybe they heard it and say, oh, you can do this. I saw so and so do this. Yes, I know you can. I don't recommend it. And here's why. Especially if you're blending anything that has any kind of fat or greasy substance in it at all, any kind of liquid, I don't recommend doing that with. You have to remember that just because something fits on something doesn't mean that it should be used that way. So even though it will screw on, it's still not made to go with a jar. And no, not all blenders will work that way anyway, but even the ones where it fits on there perfect and work perfectly and works fine, I don't recommend it. So if you have anything that's got even just a little bit of grease in it, a little bit of anything that's going to be slick at all. Now, you might be fine for powder substances. I just personally don't recommend it at all. But what can happen, and trust me, I know this from experience. It happened to me twice, and then I quit. What can happen is because it might have that little bit of slickness to it, it can cause your gasket, your rubber gasket, to get sucked up into the blender because it's the fit, even though it screws on good, it's still not tight enough to prevent that from happening. And then your gasket is destroyed. Thankfully, gaskets are fairly cheap. I don't know what they are now, but after that happened to me twice, I bought a pack of 10 just to make sure. And I probably will never, ever need to buy any more gaskets for my blenders again. But yes, that's not what it's made for. Even if it fits, it's not made for that. So I don't recommend it. Anyway, a lot of people will talk about it. That's fine. But you could be destroying it one day. It might just happen that you're going to destroy a gasket, and depending on what you're blending up, you'll probably have to throw that out too, because you might have pieces of rubber gasket in it. Ew. Okay, so there's that. I got a couple more things. Somebody asked me. No, somebody didn't ask me. They told me that I should offer in-person classes. Now, before I started my channel, or right about the time I started my channel, I was kind of considering possibly doing this here. I've got this big room, which is one of the reasons I considered it, because I still have this big room. It's my ex dance studio / martial arts studio. That's why it's such a big room. However, I live in a very small, remote town. I know what it's like to try to do classes for adults. I've done it before. I've done dance classes for adults. I've done ladies' self-defense classes a couple of times, and decided, you know what? I'm not doing that anymore. I had better business working with kids. Parents didn't have a problem getting their kids to class most of the time, but getting adults to come to a class, and you're setting aside your time, and they may or may not show up with no notification. I don't have time for that. I don't have time to set aside my time to have one or two or nobody show up. It's not worth it to me. And then especially now, it's the same reason I do not have a physical class is the same reason why I don't write a book. One of the same reasons. It all has to do with time. So I'm not sure what you're apologizing for, Phoebe. And if I don't remember who the person was who asked or told me that. I'm not upset with them. They meant well. And I intentionally don't try to remember people's names, because I'm not trying to point anybody out, single anyone out, and make anybody feel bad. No, Laura, for the same reason, it has to do with time. Now, I'm making time right now for my live shows twice a week, but, that's already taxing me quite a bit for time. And in fact, I was doing on Sundays, I was doing a live show from each channel. And then I decided right now, especially with the garden stuff getting underway, it's just one more thing for me to worry about. And so I'm just going to stick to the single live show twice a week for now, but there's going to be days where I won't be able to go live. And so I will make sure I make an announcement on both channels, like in the post section or community section. I don't know why sometimes it says community, sometimes it says posts. I don't get it. But anyway, in that section on YouTube and maybe on my other social medias, if I think of it, that, I'm not going live today, people, because I see things are going to get crazier because Wednesdays and Sundays are the 2 days of the week I can be guaranteed I don't have grandbabies. Even then, it's not guaranteed. I almost was going to watch one today because of something that came up, but they figured something else out. So, um, but at any rate, yeah, with all the gardening stuff, yeah, and then everything else I've got going on and all the editing. Editing takes, hours. If it's a short video, maybe I can get it done in an hour. If it's a longer video, it can take several. It can take all day sometimes. I'm getting faster at it, even if with all the additions I've added over the years to how I do it, because it's just, you get in the swing of things get faster, though I still make mistakes. But uh still, it can take a long time, and Patrick's videos, oh, they take a very long time. The good thing about his is I'm not typically needing to add a whole bunch of video clips and photos. I will if I have something that's ready to go. I'm like, "Oh, this will be a great picture or something to add in here so people can see what he's talking about." If you're asking me about cleavers, I personally have never used them. I know that my friend can collect them wild on her property, but I've personally never used them for anything. So I am not the person to ask, and I haven't done a video on them because of that. Usually I only do a video on herbs, on any herb, if I've used it at least once for something. But I don't have any cleavers. I have not had a chance to get out and collect any, so I have no experience. I like to have at least a little bit of experience with something before I do a video on it, like the horsetail. When I did that video, I was already starting to collect it and use it. Um, what else? I know I have a couple videos I'm going to do later in the season on lovage because I do grow lovage. I haven't used it much yet, other than just eating it fresh off the plant. But I haven't used it in cooking and baking yet because I was wanting to really let it get established before I put any up or did too much with it, which it is very well established. It is popping up out there, man. I got 2 plant. I think it's going to be huge. I'm going to get a lot of seed from it too. The arnica, even though I'd only successfully started growing it a couple of years ago, I'd already been using it in a dried form that I'd purchased. And so I've got a video on that. And because arnica is one of the most expensive herbs to buy already dried, I decided that's one I definitely have to grow. And so I'm pretty excited to see tons of little plants coming up. Some of them are the perennials, the ones I initially planted, and some of them are the ones that are coming up from seed. I'm going to have a lot. Plus, I started more because just to make sure. I didn't know if maybe the chickens might have eaten all the seed or not. So I wasn't sure. So I'm just like, I'm just going to go ahead and start more just in case. I knew the perennials themselves would be fine, the ones that were already established. But so I've done water infusion. Success, but chopping fine and foods got caught in our throats. So, can you grow saffron? Maybe. I haven't tried yet, Karen. My friend, same friend, she is trying to grow it. I don't know what kind of success she's having. I know the last time I saw her plant last summer, it looked like it was going to grow okay. So maybe at some point I'll reach out to her and see how that's doing this year and consider it. Hi, Lucy. No problem being late. Hey, we all got busy lives. We all have busy lives. It's totally cool. I think I did have another. Okay, good. Oh, good. Okay. I'll read that later, the rest of it. Let's see. Somebody else was asking me, this is about chickens. So somebody was asking me, they said, they're getting chickens. It's all new thing. They got a coop. It sounds like it's pretty well built, and they got a chicken run, and they were wondering if they should still shut their chickens in the coop at night. Well, my personal thought is always going to be yes. But on the other hand, a lot of it's going to depend on how solid is your chicken run, because and what kind of predators do you have? If they're just, it sounds like she's got bird netting over the top, so hawks aren't an issue. But what you have to worry about is at night. You have to worry about your night animals. So your nocturnal ones, like raccoons, and I think weasels. So anything, weasels, I think I'm correct that weasels will go after chickens. And weasels would be even worse than, we don't have a problem with those around here, but they would be worse than raccoons because they could squeeze through anything. And raccoons are very, very tenacious. And we have raccoons out here. And they will go as far if they're able. Remember, they practically have hands like we do almost. And a friend of mine that lives up on the far side of town, she's got kind of like us. They're doing the whole homesteading thing in just a little 1/3. I think it's about the same size as our lot, shy 1/3 acre. And she's had chickens for years. They got a pretty nice coop built, but they've had raccoons actually pulling the boards off the side of their coops. Raccoons are tenacious. So no, I would never intentionally leave the chicken door open, because even though I've got the enclosure, even with the enclosure fairly well covered, I know they can still get into that enclosure and then go through the chicken door. And then, because the chicken coop is under the old playhouse that Patrick had built for the boys, we one time saw a raccoon trying to get into the playhouse and see if it could get into the playhouse and then get down to the chickens that way. It wouldn't have been able to, but still, they are very tenacious. So I just say, yeah. And raccoons, what makes them even worse is a lot of times they'll just go through and they'll kill every single chicken, and just let them go to waste. Sometimes they may eat the breast out of it and then leave the rest. But I know a lady who had her daughter in dance for a couple of years, went out one morning to find every single one of their chickens slaughtered by raccoons, and they didn't eat much of them. They're very wasteful creatures. So they might be cute, but they're not always cuddly. You cannot trust them. We had one year we had raccoons running around that were stealing all my grapes. And I came out at night. I was out there because I thought I heard something. This is before I realized we had raccoon problems. This is before we had the chickens, thankfully. So I'm glad this lesson happened before we got chickens. And I go out there, and if you guys have ever seen any of my gardening videos where I show the grapevines and how they grow on a beam that goes all the way around our deck. So it's probably, to me, about that high up, what is it? Maybe 7 feet tops. I don't know. I'm only 5 feet tall. And so they were running. I saw and heard movement. And finally I look, and there's one of the posts. There's a raccoon hanging on it and looking dead at me. And I got closer because I was trying to figure out, what am I looking at? And it hissed at me. Raccoons will attack you, and they can be rabid. You don't want raccoons around. You see a lot of people, oh, they're so cute and cuddly and feeding them. And some of them, maybe they do make okay pets, but do not trust raccoons. If you've never met that raccoon before, stay away from it, because it will attack you. They are very vicious, and they will kill your chickens. They will utterly destroy a whole flock of chickens. So, and I don't know how when it comes to skunks, do skunks go after chickens too? So, anyway, there's my thoughts on that, that yes, I think no matter what, just to be on the safe side, I would shut the chicken door every night. Now, there's been a couple nights I've forgotten, left it open. I shut the gate to the enclosure, but that's not going to keep the raccoons out. Thankfully, they're not hanging around here all the time. They just once every few years, they might just show up out of the blue. And then another question, one more question I got was somebody asked me, they came across the video, which I think was based off of a live that had published 4 months ago on my conspiracy theories versus conspiracy facts. And I'm not sure what their intentions were because they never said anything more. They simply asked me, how do you feel about this now? So if anybody's wondering, I don't know why my thoughts on as that video was about would change in the past 4 months, and they haven't. Now, I think I did link to that video in the description if you would like to know what it's about. I'm not even sure if this person actually watched and listened to the whole video. Listen to everything that is said if you want to know my thoughts on conspiracy theories, conspiracy facts, and understanding there's a difference between the two. And understanding where I'm coming from as one who was once so heavily steeped in conspiracy theories that it was making me crazy pretty much. I was constantly upset and angry. And basically it just comes down to you can't allow that kind of stuff to totally control your life because it's not going to make you a better person. It's not going to put you in a better place. Use some of that to say, okay, I can make this change and that change to help counteract this or that. But there's some things you can do nothing about. You can only do the best you can. And some things are nothing more than theory. And some of it is flat out craziness. Some of it's real. Even there's stuff people are still denying to this day, even though it's come out very clearly that this really is happening and this is real and even being admitted by government authorities, and people are still calling them conspiracy theories. That is so irritating. It's like, have you not been paying attention to anything? So I'm not saying that um, I don't believe any of them, but I used to be way, way caught up as bad as some people are today because they're getting worse. There's more, and they're getting worse all the time. So, yes, you did. You missed the nail part. I started that. I got into that topic not right off the bat, because about 10 minutes so if you go back to the beginning of this, about 10 minutes in is when I started talking about the fingernail stuff. Let's see, because this wasn't just about fingernails. This was actually one of my Q&As. So I was approaching different topics, different questions that I get, and so on. So that was all of the points, all the questions that I wanted to cover today. So I'm going to stay for a little bit longer. If I get cut off, though, I'm not going to start a second stream. Thank you again, YouTube, for allowing me to stay on for as long as I have and not cutting me off. So annoying. I appreciate that. Oh, I'm not worthy. You let me stay. So there was one time I got cut off because my internet decided to, I lost connection. And when that happens, that takes forever because you got to wait for I notice it seems like the Starlink no, I think they're about the same. It takes so long to get it up and going again and then reconnect. Then that was irritating. But yeah, most of the time, every other time it's been because of YouTube. So let's see what we are called around our areas conspiracy thinkers. Yeah, it's about you got to sort fact from fiction. You got to vet your sources And I used to make that mistake when I first started getting caught up in this stuff of just, "Oh, wow, this must be true because this person said it." Come to find out, it's all a big lie. And a lot of people are out there just trying to get clicks. So it could be what they're saying could be true, but don't just assume it's true because this person or even the most trusted person you know said it, because they could have been deceived too. So what's happening is you got so much deceit going on from all sides is that and then you got people jumping on every single bandwagon and now it's making everybody look crazy when even when they try to make um people aware of something that is definitely true and there's facts, there's evidence, there's a lot of it to back it up. Yes, Karen, absolutely. And I that's one that really bothers me. I'm not going to go into why. And some of you, I don't talk about it because I realize there's people that follow me that believe that, and I don't want to offend anyone, but I don't. I've just seen what it's done to people. I've seen what it's done to relationships of close friends and family members. And it's some of these conspiracy theories, no matter what they are, can become so much of a so cult like that when it starts destroying good relationships, and especially if you're a believer, and this could be a place where you could have maybe quality, if they're fellow believers, maybe some quality interaction with them and grow together spiritually and put all this other junk behind you. Or if it's people who are non believers and they see you falling for all this stuff, they're not going to want to listen to you. They're not. You know, if you believe that, fine. If you feel that you have all the facts to back up, you feel there's evidence, fine. But to use that as a crutch, or not a crutch, but as a tool to cause harm to relationships and to other people and to call people names and accuse them of not believing the Bible or whatever the accusations are, wrong. Okay, there's a lot of people that follow me that are Christians and but we all have a little bit different view on some things. We're all learning together and we should never use like for me, I don't eat pork. I don't eat shellfish anymore. I cut out the unclean meats. Do I use that as something a cudgel to beat people over the head with? No, why? That's not going to help grow that person's relationship with the Lord. That's not a good witness because this is what I have read in the Bible, and it's something that I do now strongly believe in. I didn't always, and it took me a long time to get to this point. I'm not perfect. I still have a whole lot of stuff to learn, but I'm certainly not going to use my personal spiritual beliefs to try to beat people over the head with them and call them non believers who don't love the Lord if they are fellow believers, or use that as a way to try to bring someone who doesn't know the Bible, doesn't know the Lord to the faith. That's not the way to go about it. So, you know, again, I don't wanna offend anybody who chooses to believe in that particular thing that was mentioned, but it I don't. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Um, yes, I've done very, very thorough research because when I first started doing it like 10 years ago, I was like, why are people believing this?" When it first started becoming a thing, and I even then could not find one solid piece of evidence, and now even more so now have found far more evidence against it personally. Okay. I've listened to a lot. I've read a lot. But yes, it is not a salvational issue. And so why are we allowing this to become it's actually becoming a salvational issue in the sense that we could be scaring people away from Christ. And that's opposite of what we should be doing. So I think skunks are after the feed and the eggs. Very likely, Phoebe. That would make sense. I can't really see them going after chickens, but then I saw there's probably plenty I don't know. We don't get a lot of skunks around here. I don't know that I've ever seen a skunk. a type of civet cat, because civet cats can be brown. We don't get those kind. They can be like a brown and beige. We get the kind that looks more like a skunk, and they're smaller, but they don't come around often. In fact, I've only actually seen one time. We had one living under our house. It was terrible. It was long before we had chickens, though. And I saw it when it came running out. It was dark out, and it came running out from under the deck, and it was black and white. It looked it had a fluffy tail like a skunk, but not a skunk. So the stripes on it are different, if I remember correctly. But the reason that was a horrible experience, we finally chased it off or something. But so I remember how I said this in our martial arts studio. So we had just got done we knew something was under the house because we kept hearing something. But then one night we just got done having Taekwondo class. And I'm like, boy, we just got finished. I'm thinking, man, somebody didn't clean themselves very good before they came to class, or they're just really sweaty and stinky and they have some pretty bad armpits. But then as people were filtering out, the smell started getting stronger and stronger and stronger to the point that it was starting to run us out of the house. And then we realized that it had sprayed under the house. And it was so bad that it got into the oils of our skin. And the next morning, I noticed that even our sheets smelled like skunk. I had to wash everything. And thankfully it didn't we were able to get the house fully aired out and get rid of the smell. But yeah, anything that had touched us, we had to wash. But it was kind of hilarious though, because I'm like, man, somebody's got some bad BO in here. It's like, is it me? But then when it kept getting worse, I'm like, no, this is not normal. I think I would have noticed if somebody was smelling that bad in the middle of class. Boy, howdy. Thankfully, we haven't had one in a long time living under our house. See, some of these conspiracy theories are so out of touch with reality that I find myself asking, why should I care about this? Right. There's some things that just, and I'll admit there's some new ones that have popped up that I'm like, well, that's interesting. I'm not buying it, but that's interesting. Could be a fun thing to look into just out of curiosity, but it's not anything that affects our life. It's not anything that's going to change how we live and what we should be focusing on. And I just don't have time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. So, well, some people apparently do. Well, that's something else, though, you got to remember. The people who have a lot of time for that, it's because they're making money off of it, whatever it is. They're making money off every click that comes through. And there's people that are don't even believe that these conspiracies themselves. They're spreading them because they've got money to make off the people that follow them. So yes, I weeded out a lot of those kind of people. It will make you have a nervous breakdown. Absolutely, Phoebe. Stay focused on your home and neighborhood. Right. And again, there's certain things I think there's nothing wrong with getting to know a little bit of this or that, and kind of, if you think it's something that directly is going to affect you, okay, find out the truth and find out, is there something you can do to counteract it? Does it mean turning down certain types of injections because you either don't know enough about them, or because people are saying, hey, don't do this, maybe you should look into it? Then, well, yeah, absolutely. But yeah, there's a lot out there that are getting pretty crazy. It's definitely worse than it was back when I was first involved in that. It was like mostly between 2010 to, I don't know, to 2012 at most. And then I kind of, even because of some of the more recent conspiracy theories that have just gone so far out of whack, it's made me kind of rethink some of the ones I did believe, that I did still believe, and wonder. It's like, mostly just let me look at them and say, okay, is this something I can change? No. Is it something I can help to counteract, at least for the sake of myself and my family. If there's something I can do, then yes. But will it change anything if I go out and start preaching about it instead of, and scaring people to death about it? No, it's not. So what I can do is I can help encourage people, give them hope, and help them to learn how to do things for themselves and just make better people of themselves. There's I don't want to get too far into this because I just shot a video on this, but they got this term that some of you might have heard. Some of you might not know what it's about, but it's called a glow up. And it's always going to be about, it's another one of those trends, people doing all these videos on putting on 25 different products under their skin and hair. And it's their glow up. And so they do that because they don't even have to actually use the product themselves. They do that because they get sales from people who think, oh, this person looks so beautiful because they use 25 different products on themselves for their glow up. Or they, the whole focus on just the external. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to look nice. I still put on mascara and a little bit of eyeliner. I still try to make my hair not look like, Broomhilda from whatever cartoon that was. Was it Broomhilda, the one whose bobby pins were, I don't even know why she had bobby pins in her hair in the first place because they weren't doing anything for her. But every time she would jump or run, bobby pins would go flying out of her hair. That's my hair if I don't do something nice with it. But what is a better idea for a glow up? What's a better idea? Yeah, I'm thinking it's Warner Brothers. It's working on our spirit, our soul, our ability to be kind to other people. And one of the changes, and I started today. Next time somebody comes in and tells me, you talk too much, I'm not going to reply in kind. I did it the other day, and now I'm feeling kind of guilty. When someone said, too much talk, and no, they said, talk too much, and I said, whine too much. That's all I said. I kind of got to check on my spirit and decided, you know what? Maybe that person's just having a bad day. Maybe they're busy. They're just wanting one certain, even though I might be covering several points because they are relevant to the topic, maybe this person only wanted this one point and they're in a hurry and they're having a bad day. And that's why they do that. I don't know that. And so instead of me responding in kind, I either need to respond with kindness or don't respond at all. If I can't respond, remember the old adage we were always taught? If you can't say nothing nice, don't say nothing at all. So I just delete them because they're still being rude and I don't have to leave their comment there. But at least that way I'm not tempted to come back and respond, the same way that they were talking to me, because that's not going to help. It's not going to help them. It might make me feel all like, hey, I'm so funny or whatever, or I got you back. Well, that's selfish. So that's one of the changes I'm making is I'm going to, try to really rein that in, my snarkiness. So, yeah, changing, that's where I'm trying to do my glow up. I'm trying to work on making myself a better person, being kind to others, being generous to others, being encouraging to others. I mean, not that I don't already try to do a lot of those things, but we can always do better. So, yeah. And they can always find another channel to watch. Right, Betty? So, yeah. And I guess that's why I love these. The other reason I love these live shows so much is because the more direct interaction and seeing your guys' comments and it's encouraging to me too, and it helps me. She likes my snarkiness. Well, thank you, Betty. Well, I mean, a little snarkiness and a little humor is definitely necessary sometimes. I'm talking more about responding directly to people and just being rude, or being the way they are back to them is not always the best way to go. It's not showing love and kindness. Uh, Sometimes I am just having fun, though. Sometimes I am just being goofy. I'm not trying to be mean. It's like I said before, sometimes when I'm responding to comments and somebody says something that, like, maybe they're the auto correct or they just spelled something wrong and it came out in a funny way, but I'm not sure if they know me well enough to know if I'm typing something in text, like, should I give them a hard time for that? I want to because it would be cute and funny, but they might not know I'm trying to be cute and funny and they might take it wrong. So we are here on the social outing. Know that there are differences and that is good. Cool. Dusty. I didn't call you Adam. Dusty. Now I'm going to say this again. When are you going to get your own account so people can call you by name and not call you Adam? Of course, if Adam's your husband, these two are one. I guess it doesn't matter. Oh, dear. So, oh, by the way, so a lot of you know that, and I appreciate, thank you again for those people who did remember my birthday. I don't usually make it a public thing, but so March 28th was my oldest son's birthday. So he just turned 33. March 29th was my birthday. I just turned 59. And then, oh, I better check, make sure I don't have stuff on my face. Okay. And then March 31st was our anniversary, 35 years. And then April 11th is my youngest son's birthday. Oh, and then Rowan's birthday, my granddaughter, her birthday was the 22nd of March. So it's just been like birthday, 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 anniversary, and then another birthday. It's been kind of crazy. So yeah. Oh, and then my daughter-in-law's birthday is before my youngest son's birthday. So another birthday. So it's been kind of crazy. So people were like, wait, didn't she just say something about a birthday? Now she's talking about anniversary. And wait, what? I thought it was her son's birthday. Yeah, that's what's going on. That's what's happening. So yeah, that was what day was my birthday? Friday, Saturday. My birthday was on Saturday. So my birthday was on Saturday. Ryan's birthday was on Friday, and then Rowan's birthday was a Saturday before that. So that means my birthday is always going to be exactly the week after Rowan's birthday. And then my youngest son's birthday is exactly 2 weeks after my oldest son's birthday. So when they were growing up, I always just did one birthday party for the two of them, and usually pick the weekend in between. That worked good. They had some of the same friends, and that saved me money on decor and cake. And usually I made the cake, but I mean, still, and all that craziness. I only had to do it one time in the year for them, so that worked out good. But now I got all these grandbabies. So, well, some of you have more. I know some of you have great grandbabies, but number 4 on the way, due in July. So I think they have a name picked out, which I wouldn't say it, even if they said I could. I think they're not quite sure on it yet. And let's see. What else? What other life events? Nothing too exciting other than just being able to get out there and work in the garden a little bit more. It keeps going back and forth. It's sunny, it's rainy. It's sunny, it's rainy. I was thinking maybe today when I get done with the show, maybe going out front and getting at least some of my potatoes put out there. But I have other places I'm going to plant potatoes. So, Karen, I buy them in different places. Most of them I find on Amazon in like this one, and then I have I have 2 more very similar to this that are different colors. Like I have the one that's got the pink, the bright pink and the mango color and the burgundy. And then I have, which I think I wore last on Wednesday, or today is Wednesday, Sunday. What day is it? And then I have the first one I got is got fall colors. I love that one. It's my favorite. And it's kind of cool because it has the hoodie, though I never wear hoods at all. But I just liked it. It's comfy. So I try to look for 100% cotton. Unfortunately, some of the flannels I got, I realized, even though I typed in 100% cotton flannel shirts, usually I'm looking for specific colors, which is why I shop on Amazon. So I could look for pages and pages and pages looking for something specific and not find it. White stag, I think it's called white. Is it white stag? It's white something. Maybe it's not white stag. But there's one brand I really like that does flannel, 100% cotton flannel. And they have solid flannel. So I have a brown and a black and a red in solid flannel. And then they have the plaids. Gosh, I can't remember the name. I'm afraid I'm going to say it wrong. It's white something. I don't think it's White River. I keep thinking it's an animal. White stag. Maybe I'm thinking of Chronicles of Narnia. I don't know. But that's one of the brand. I don't remember what this brand is. But yeah, there's a couple of my flannel shirts that unfortunately are not 100% cotton. I realized way too late. I hate it when that happens. So I still keep those ones because the one is the yellow, white, and black one. This is the only one I have with yellow, and I do that so I can mix up my colors. But I only wear it during a show. I won't wear it or while I'm shooting a video, and then it goes back in the closet because it's not something I'd wear all day because it's not. I have two like that because the other one is teal. So it's like, I know. Okay, is a Walmart brand? No, it's not White Stag. It's a different name. I think that's probably what I'm thinking of is the Walmart bag because I think we bought White Stag sleeping bags many years ago, but I didn't think we got them at Walmart. Maybe we did. It was a long, long time ago. And those are still really good sleeping bags. After all of these years, we got them when we were on our honeymoon. So 35 years ago. Can you believe that? And one of them did start getting tore up on the inside and it's been patched. But white tails, maybe that's what it is. Maybe. And maybe that's why gosh, I don't know. Let me see if I can look it up really quick. I'll look up. That's not the brand of the shirt that I'm wearing. Let me just type in. Oh, I should have put flannel. Let me see. Flannel shirt. Okay, the brand of this one. Okay, Whitetails. You're right. It's one word. This is Whitetails. Okay, they did make these ones too. These ones. I still say these ones, and that's not proper English, I know. So, yeah, I have the Whitetails in several, like in the solids, and I think in a couple of plaid, but they make this one as well. So all three of the ones I have like this are the Whitetails brand. That's right. But like I said, it's one word. So let me get the link. I'll get the link to this particular one. It's not a cheap one. It's one of the more expensive ones. I mean, it could be more expensive, but I've seen even more expensive shirts. But I'll get that in there. So here's the link to the shirt that I'm wearing. There you go. And then there's the other colors. I don't know. Do they still have the other colors? They might even have some more new ones. Oh, they have some more new ones. Or at least one. They have a different pink one. I have the one that's called Fusion Plaid. And then there's another one with pink that's called Fuchsia Army Plaid. I don't have that one, but I have the Falling Leaves Plaid. And then the one I'm wearing is called Frozen River. I really like them. They just have a nice feel. Now, they don't say 100% cotton because of the there's like says 2% spandex. It's because of the hood. The shirt itself, this part, I believe, anyway, is all 100% cotton. It sure feels like it is, but The hood to me is just there for looks. So yeah, for those of you who are asking, but really, gosh, I've been on here for an hour and 20 minutes. I'm still here. I can't believe it. But I should get going. I know you guys are all busy people too. So I've got stuff I got to do. I got to go finish labeling the skin cream I just made. I got videos to edit, and it's sunny out there right now. Maybe I'll go out there and plant a few potatoes. Maybe. I'm hoping it's not too wet to do it yet, but I really want to get them in the ground. Anyway, so I love you all. Hope you enjoyed being here. I really enjoyed you being here and being here with you, and that's a lot of being here's. Hope you all have a great rest of your day and great rest of your week. Thanks for coming in. Take care and God bless. Love y'all.